Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to mold and cast eyes that look kind of like this. So I know I made a video on making eyes a couple weeks ago. We used things like spoons and ping pong balls. If you want to see that, click right here. And those kinds of materials are fine if you're a beginner or if you're doing this as a craft. But for solid eyes that will last a long time, I like to cast them like this. The other thing I love about these eyes is that they're completely solid. Using spoons and ping pong balls make your eyes hollow, which makes them much more fragile and harder to attach. With a solid eye, you have a lot more surface area for gluing. But in order to cast these, we have to make a mold of something. I ordered these mixing spoons online, and I think they would make the perfect eyes. Now, there's no reason why you can't cut these off, sand them down, paint them, and use them as eyes yourself. But if you go through this process of making a mold, it makes making eyes so much faster. If you want to use the same ones as me, I have a link down in the description. So to start off, we're going to cut off the handles. To do that, I'm going to use a Dremel. Make sure you use eye protection to cover up your eyes. And I also have a mask. I don't want to get little bits of plastic in my lungs, so I'd like to keep it on, please. So I just cut off the first handle, and as you can see, it came off pretty well, but it's definitely got an edge that I don't want on there. So I'm going to sand that down until it's nice and smooth. So I just sanded the last of that handle all the way off. So now the trouble is the rest of the spoon has a nice polished finish, and this has a sanded finish. So to solve that, I'm going to sand the whole thing. I actually personally like having a matte finish to my eyes rather than a glossy finish. Especially if you're doing puppetry for film, the reflection of the lighting can be distracting. Having a matte finish helps minimize that reflection. So I'm going to sand the whole thing down. But make sure you use a fine grit. Anything over 120 should be fine. So there's one down. Now we have to repeat this process for the rest of the spoons. So now they're all cut and sanded, and I also gave them a light coat of spray paint. That helps to fill some of the small gaps from the sanding. Now it's time to make a mold. Today we're gonna make a simple dump mold. Start off by gluing these down to the base. You wanna keep at least a ½ inch of space between all the pieces. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it's nice to make it look pretty. So now we're gonna build up the walls for our mold. Now when you're gluing the walls for the mold on, make sure you get a good seal. It's important to avoid leaks. This is the Mold Max 30. First I pour in part A. This has to be mixed at a 10:1 ratio. And then part B. If you want to use something a little bit easier, I recommend the OOMOO 30. It's a 1:1 ratio, so you mix both parts evenly. Much easier, I just didn't have enough. Now let's mix the silicone. It's so important to mix it evenly. If it's not mixed perfect, it's not gonna work. All right, now it's time to pour it in. Let me just get this drill out, and I'll let it drip in. And I'll slowly pour this in. So now we just have to let this sit for 24 hours. And I don't have to worry about cleaning any of these tools because when the silicone cures, it peels right off. See you in 24 hours. It's been 24 hours, so let's check this out. And actually, like I showed you before, the cleanup is very easy. This silicone just peels right off. So you don't need to wash any of your tools or anything at all, which is awesome. Let's put that aside and let's bust this open. Got some of these stuck in there, so let's pull those out quick. And there we have our mold. Now, some of the main benefits to using this process. First of all, this mold is gonna last you a very long time. It is a little bit of a process to make it the first time, but it's gonna last you for many, many years. And once you have one mold, you can make multiple castings in just a couple minutes. If you want to see another example of the mold making process, Tested did an awesome video you can see right here. Let's test it out. Now for casting, we're gonna use Smooth Cast 300. What's nice about this is it's really easy. It's a 1:1 ratio, so you mix the two parts evenly. Also, it comes out white, so you don't have to paint it if you don't want to. Though I do paint mine anyway, and I do recommend it. One thing that's really nice about having multiple sets of eyes in this mold is, let's say you want to cast the biggest eyes, but you accidentally make a little bit too much resin. You can take the leftover resin and pour it into another one of the molds so you don't waste the material. Pour some of part A. Then I'll put part B into this one. Fill them up evenly. And then I'll pour them together into this large cup. Now you don't have a lot of working time, so you gotta stir it quickly and then make sure you get it into your molds. I can feel it heating up already. Look at that, I have tons of extra, so I'll pour some in here. Make a couple sets of eyes. All right, so let's get a close-up look. You'll watch it cure right before your eyes. All right, they're all cured. Let's see how they came out. Wow, holy cow. That looks perfect. Wow, holy cow. Could not ask for a better pair of eyes. Look at these. They're so matte, they're perfect. Now before attaching these eyes, I like to sand the back flat. That makes it even easier to attach. I do that by setting the sandpaper on the table and then sanding it flat. Come out real nice. We're gonna attach these eyes and the rest of his features in the next video. If you have trouble finding any of these materials, all the links are in the description below. That's it for now. See you next time.